Hey, my name is Dhruv. This is Common Truth. So we're back at another video, and this is going to be about a conundrum I recently had. It's not going to be just a normal podcast episode, but moreover, something that caught my interest, especially when we're looking into all of these worlds of academic success, labor. These are very prominent worlds, especially within the industry that we see today. We look at the corporate actions that are occurring, and we can't help but wonder, what truly constitutes a success? Yes, this is a question that's been asked many times. And I was currently in the position where I was seeking out more research opportunities during the summer programs. All these various opportunities that would help to technically advance my knowledge, and it could go to advance my career due to the admissions process. Now, here I was thinking, a lot of these admission programs are selective, and rightfully so. There's nothing that says that they shouldn't be selective. However, I noticed one small problem. I see that there's a lot of discrimination against just immigrants. Of course, this is something that can be addressed. It's already a critical issue within the United States, and there is debates on both sides to be had. I'm not saying that one is false and one is completely right, because there's both false points on both ends, and there are points that are valid on both ends. However, you have to consider the impact that these individuals are providing. Immigrants who are coming into the U.S., who are still U.S. residents, who are still part of the workforce, who are still bringing an impact to the industry overall, are still being suppressed due to the fact that they're not a citizen. And this is actually a major problem within various corporations such as NASA. These are government funded, and especially a lot of the opportunities that are in the chemistry, physics, biomedical, astronomy, all of these various fields, including engineering as well, especially civil and mechanical. All these opportunities for students who are aspiring for this field are actually limited based on the fact that if they're not a U.S. citizen. Now, this is not to say that they're completely wrong in their judgment. Of course, they might have their reason for doing so, and given that it is the U.S. government, of course they're going to be more inclined to do so. And there's no point in just sitting and complaining about it, because there are other research opportunities that you can get. There are other summer programs hosted by private universities and also institutions, third-party ones, that can offer the same opportunity, same educational advancement. However, they're more open and they're accepting to more of the other individuals. However, the main problem emerges that there is a social problem that has arisen that very few people are talking about, because even though someone might not be an immigrant, they might still be a citizen of that said country, they're still given less opportunity. Now let me explain. There is a social stigma, we've always known this. However, it generally gets suppressed under the massive problem of racism. So racism is something that's very prolific. We've seen protests against it, especially in this day and age. As I've been emerging, our generation has definitely seen a lot of examples wherein we've seen racism provide a lot of bad things to society. And because of that, we've also learned throughout history the amount of oppression that's been had. However, in our current society, many people would describe it as imperfect yet acceptable. And this is where the problem lies. We still describe it as imperfect. However, it's also due to the fact there's a lot of discrimination that's under the covers that a lot of people might not initially realize. It's also the fact that if you were to look at academic institutions, their admissions, individuals who are still within the United States studying in a U.S. high school or other academic institution of said matter, they still have limited opportunity as compared to an individual who is a citizen, despite maybe having the same statistics, maybe having the same provided knowledge of a given subject. So if two individuals are within the same school, they'll be able to achieve the same things, and one will have a significantly higher chance of being admitted to a said university. Now, this might sound unfair from the get-go. However, I feel like in some ways it can get worse, and some ways it does get better. Of course, there are international applicants, and this is not what I'm talking about, because that's from a different country. So let's say that I was in India and I was inhabiting that region, and then I'm applying to a U.S. university, then it's actually somewhat compensated. I would also say that this also has its own share of problems, and I'm not going to say that one situation is worse than the other, because of the fact that a lot of these people who are international applicants, they know the struggles, especially for academic testing, since it hasn't been properly accommodated in that area. Individuals who want to be able to maybe excel in universities such as MIT, Harvard, Princeton, etc., they need to be able to go to these test centers, which may be located across the country. Some people I've seen have to take 5 hour, 6 hour, maybe flights or drives in order to get to their test center, and just for it to be cancelled and such. So there's a lot of problems within this, I guess, academic institution admission. However, I feel like within the United States itself, there's a major problem, because despite people may having a green card, showing that they are lawful citizens, people who aren't trying to do anything, they're not unalienated or not unassociated with the United States in general, they're still somewhat suppressed from all these various opportunities that they could receive. A lot of requirements to say that an individual has to be a citizen to participate or even apply to. It doesn't even matter if it sways the making process, because that's something not in our control. For example, just race in general. For admissions process, we understand that because certain minorities have been suppressed in the past, they get more educational or just institutional benefits now, and that just makes sense. That one philosophical like debate, that's one side of it, and that makes sense in many different ways. It seems fair, and it is just for all these people who have been previously suppressed in order to get additional opportunities, in order to displace the amount that they were set back, in order to properly accommodate for the conditions that they were brought up in. I feel like these are fair. However, you have to consider the fact that it doesn't even just not sway the decision process. A lot of opportunities are cut off immediately. Nothing else is considered, nothing else is seen, and this severely limits the amount of growth that they can have. Now, if you look at the labor force, if you kind of look at the corporate numbers, you'll see a lot of the individuals who come here initially for a significant period of time, they are immigrants, and before they can become lawful residents, even citizens, all of this period of time, they're still contributing to the workforce. A lot of individuals, you can check who's law-abiding, who's not law-abiding, who's registered, who's not. So then these are not problems. These are definitely not problems, because the U.S. has found ways to solve them. The major problem comes from these government-funded programs, which are limiting the opportunity based on the ultimate decision that these immigrants might be dangerous. Of course, there are examples to show such a thing. There are examples to prove both sides of the story, as in any argument. However, you have to consider the implications that this has upon all the individuals who are growing up. Especially for me, I'm in the same conundrum. Faced by the same problem, and this suppression is not only goes to maybe stipend, maybe go and stop the educational development of all these children, but given that they're already being put in a condition that's not very, I don't want to say fortunate, I would say not very favorable in the academic institutions. I would say that it is a problem that exists, because of the fact that they're already being brought up with all of these external stresses that these colleges might not realize, all these other individuals might not really sympathize with, and upon that, they're already being cut off from other educational opportunities that they might be qualified for, and yet they're not being able to go to those opportunities because of what this misconception has. So I want to know your opinion about this. I might be wrong. There might be some portion of this that I'm missing. And of course, we've seen this in presidential elections. This is a major problem that has emerged because the labor force is something that cannot truly be stopped. It's not something that can be altered significantly without pushback from different groups of people, different groups of individuals. And of course, there is the benefit of providing more institutional, maybe economic opportunity to the individuals who are residents here, because it helps more economic growth. And this, at the end of the day, is something that may help all individuals, regardless of if they're a citizen or just a resident, because at the end of the day, most people pay taxes and they receive those same benefits in terms of economy. So at the same time, you have to consider the total implication that it has. So I might be wrong. So let me know your thoughts. If you are watching this video and you disagree with me, that's completely okay, because disagreements are technically where knowledge resides. If you disagree with me, leave a comment below. Tell me what you think about this problem, whether it's prevalent or not, whether you've seen something, maybe if you relate to that problem, if you do agree with me, and let me know some points, additional things. If you have any experiences that you want to share, feel free to do that, because I want to hone this community to be one that is more open. However, I feel like this is a prevalent problem. It is something that you have to consider because its impact cannot be analyzed specifically in one go. It is something that takes more time to analyze due to the fact that it has ripple effects through the entire industry. And by this I mean that one individual not gaining that educational opportunity, it can break or make that application. An individual who might not have one thing that another individual possesses, upon the fact that they're already being suppressed from they're 60% less likely to get into a said academic institution, this can definitely make or break an application, especially considering the various scope of opportunities which this goes. This doesn't only go for jobs, but internships, research opportunities, shadowing, all these various things, along with also being able to gain financial aid. This is major, because if they consider the major implication that people who are immigrating already struggle more financially than other individuals statistically, and this is just a said fact, because individuals who are coming from other countries have all to worry about the people, the family that they have in that other country, along with the fact that they have to be able to gain that occupational high ground, and they don't have too much to inherit in a separate country that their parents or their grandparents never lived in. So because of that, this adds extra financial pressure. So this also might limit a student, because that mindset wherein individuals might not even seek to go to college, or they might limit themselves in the opportunity or scope beforehand, means that a lot less of these people will try to strive for excellence. A lot less of these people will try to actually move forward, and because of that, there's economic stagnation, especially among this entire group of people, which is a large portion. Now, this comes from various groups of people, various insights, and of course everyone has different experiences. However, what I've experienced is generally that individuals should be allowed to progress academically. Of course, there are a lot of conditions that allow individuals to do so. However, I feel like they aren't being properly addressed in the fact that there's not as many opportunities as people might think. Of course, if you just go into the casual medical computer science field, both of them, many opportunities. Of course, you might find something that's not limited. However, you have to consider an individual who's only applying to one thing opposed to 5 things. Which one do you think is more likely to get into at least one of them? I feel like, given the circumstances, it is the individual who's applying to 5. Now, of course, your statistics, everything that you've done also accounts for this, so it's not just purely based on the amount of opportunity they have. However, it significantly increases the chance that they do so. And moreover, the passion that you have, if it's something more limited, it's something more focused on something that's generally government funded, such as physics, wherein it's generally either done by private institutions that are limited to the most high educated individuals, so people who have already done their doctorate and such, or government aided facilities such as NASA, all those research laboratories like JPL and such, those will already be limited. So if you have like physics, astronomy, astrophysics, all these regions definitely closed off. Chemistry, biochemistry, those are also generally government funded, especially a lot of these facilities, or private institutions with a very higher earning. It's generally, the educational opportunity is very little for this. So that's what I would say. So let me know if you agree with this, but I generally think that immigrants have a harder time, especially in academic success, than other individuals, and they have a lot more to worry about, and this is a problem that needs to be addressed. So let me know what you think. If you have any proposed solutions, let me know. And if you want to see another video, you can also let me know that. You can subscribe if you want to, if you think that I do deserve it for this. However, you don't have to. So yeah, thank you for watching this video. I appreciate it, and we'll see you in the next episode.